If you've been stuck customizing your resume, doubting yourself in interviews, or even wondering if you're going to land the role that you actually want, this episode is going to change everything for you. And today you are going to hear from my incredible client, Kayla, who went from overlooked and underconfident to landing 2 offers in under 30 days, which is incredible in today's job market. And she did things extremely differently than most people. And you're going to hear what is working in today's market so you could do the same as well. So here's what I want you to know right now. She did not land the roles because she had the perfect background. In fact, she was going through a pivot. And it wasn't because she knew someone on the inside to get the offer she ended up landing as well. It's because she finally stopped doing what wasn't working, like updating her resume for each and every application. And she took some bold steps that took her out of her comfort zone. So one of the first steps that she took was signing up for my free masterclass, which is the training that helped her shift everything from her resume, her pitch, her confidence. And the great part is I have it in the show notes for you too. So what I want you to do is right after this episode, you're going to feel super inspired from her story. And you can go into the show notes where I have the link waiting for you for the free masterclass. It's completely free. And it's the exact strategy that Kayla used to land her 2 offers in under 30 days, even in today's tough market. So you don't need more time. You don't need to be the perfect candidate, but you do need the right strategy. And let's get into Kayla's story. And when you're done, I can't wait for you to also share your thoughts. Feel free to share this on LinkedIn and Instagram so that this podcast can reach more people. Hey, it's Irina Pozan, and welcome back to the Career Cravings podcast. This podcast has a simple mission. It's to help ambitious professionals like you build the career and life that you've been craving. Over the past 15 years, I've worked as an HR leader, designed hiring systems, led recruitment teams, and I've sat on the other side of the hiring table. I've seen what works in today's job market, what doesn't, and what separates those good candidates from the ones that actually land their dream roles. Now I'm bringing everything I've learned straight to you. Each episode is packed with actionable insights and tools to help you land your dream role sooner. Now let's dive in. Hi, Kayla. I'm so excited to connect with you today and super excited for you to share your story because you inspired me in so many different ways. And I know that this audience can learn so much about your job search, what you did, the steps you took, how you went out of your comfort zone, and your incredible story of landing 2 offers in literally like a month, which is completely insane and isn't the typical experience that people have in today's job market. So welcome and thank you so much for coming.
Hi, Irina. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to, connect. We met in person at the HR Fest, which was awesome. And thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yay. Okay. So I loved meeting you in person because I feel like I work with people online all the time and it's always behind a screen and it's so different. Even though we had connected before and over voice notes and over video call, it's like such a different energy when you get to actually like hug, see each other. And I love the picture we took too. So love it, love it, love it. Thank you for being here. So let's dive in. Let's talk about where you were before we met. And we have an interesting story about how we met too, but I'd love to hear like where you were at, some of the things that you were looking at and what the next step was in your career. Tell me more about the before.
Sure. So, I was lucky enough to have a job, right? So it wasn't quite in the HR field. And that was something that was kind of a goal of mine going into 2025. I wanted to get back, directly in an HR department with an organization. You kind of start passively looking just to kind of see what's out there and slowly start that process. So I was kind of just going through that and, submitting cold applications, redoing my resume with like almost every single application.
No, I didn't know you were doing that too. Okay.
Yeah. So definitely, going that long route that so many other people in the job market are doing, right? You feel those struggles and you're like, oh, I have to redo it to like specifically fit this job description to, try to specify and give yourself a leg up. And like the time it took, right? So like you work a full day, You come home, you're trying to do this, you're just exhausted by the end of the day. So it just wasn't, a fun space to be in, even though, I loved the team I worked with. I loved the organization I was a part of for the time I was a part of it. It was amazing. But, just really wanting to get back into what I went to school for was really kind of just driving me to get back in directly and grow, right? I was still considered entry level, even though I had just over a year of direct HR experience before my contract with a prior organization ended. So it was just really wanting to get back to my roots of my education and contribute to human resources at an organization.
I love that. I love it. And first of all, I love a couple of things that you said. It's like being grateful in the moment, even though you're like, I want something else. There's something else that would feel more fulfilling or give me more purpose and like be aligned with the future of your career, really. But in the moment, still taking all of the experience that you're getting as like, a great thing. And then also the resilience of like applying in this market after working a full day and doing that. So how was that process going for you? And tell me more about that, I guess.
So I was doing pretty well, I thought. Like I'd get like the odd pre-interview screening. And so I was having some results, not obviously as many, considering, the amount of applications I was sending out. And I took something new with every single opportunity, right? I did move on to the second round at one point, only to unfortunately not make it into the offer stage because of another candidate had a little bit more experience than I did, right? The organization gave me great feedback as well, which I was really lucky to kind of take to heart and be like, okay, how can I improve going forward? But I just wasn't getting, the results that I necessarily wanted. It kind of gets draining. You get those thank you automated emails when you submit an application and then you never hear back. Or you get, like a rejection automated email like a month or two later. And you're like, when did I apply to this role again?
I don't remember this one. And like, that's totally fine because it is often a numbers game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is so defeating, especially when you are applying and spending so much time on each application and catering it to them and then not even getting the courtesy of like a response at the time. I know it can be draining after some time. So you took some really unique approaches to what you did next because of that. Like, so you realized, okay, I'm doing all the things. I have the experience from before. I'm trying to pivot, which is more challenging in today's market, of course, because people often look at the most recent job title to determine whether or not you're a fit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what was the point where you're like, okay, I'm going to try something a little bit different?
So another kind of goal for 2025 was like, I need to get out of my comfort zone a little bit. That cliche quote on LinkedIn about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable I was going through my feed and I saw it. I'm like, okay, I need to get a little uncomfortable to grow. And so I knew Pino, we had some mutual connection we had, and he invited me onto his YouTube channel, just talking about it too. Cause while I'm not a super recent graduate, I was in a similar boat with so many of the students that he had chatted with recently. So I had, I went on as a guest for his YouTube channel. I had joined your program because I connected and followed you on LinkedIn for, months before. So I was part of your masterclass, and that kind of kickstarted me. I'm like, let me try something new. Like, we're going to take a few calculated risks and see how it goes. And, it paid off in tenfold. So I was really happy with that.
I love that. It is always something that people, I feel like, aspire to do, to get out of their comfort zone. I speak to people every day that are like, I should get out there more. I should post more on LinkedIn. I should get uncomfortable, but it's a little bit more uncomfortable, so they don't do it. Like, in the HR Star private members group, someone just the other day was like, I got offered to be on a podcast, but I'm not a great speaker. Like, I don't think I should do it. And we're both like, you got to do it. That's where growth happens. You got to do it.
Yeah, go for it. Right.
Yes.
I found too, like, we're never as bad as we think we are.
Yes.
Everyone else usually has a different perspective, and we're just unusually hard on ourselves. So,
yes.
Sometimes it's just giving yourself a little bit of grace.
It's that imposter syndrome, right? So I'm so happy you did that because so many others wouldn't. And I'm curious, do you know why Pino invited you to his show instead of like all the other students that he was speaking to?
I have no idea. I'd actually connected with him at a previous, function. He was a speaker when I was a student. So we had made that connection from, I think, a year or two before. And we just kind of chatted. When I started, I had no idea what to post on LinkedIn, which I think a lot of people also have. I'm like, well, I have nothing of value, I feel like, to add, right? I'm just starting out. I'm a graduate. Like, what can I put on here that will be valuable? So I just kind of started with posting books that I was reading. So, I started with some HR books, got into some leadership books, a little bit of business books. Let me see like something relatively, easy. You can post about just like a little takeaway that you learned from the book to, expand
It's so simple.
like your personal growth. Yeah. And then it's just kind of started communication because I'd have someone go, oh, I read that book. Have you read this one? And then it was just little tidbits here and there of us connecting. And Pino had read a few of the same ones I had, and he'd given me a recommendation. And I gave him one. And that's just kind of how we kept connecting.
See, that's it. So you had met him. So this is like networking 101, and it's so simple, but so many people don't take the opportunity to do it. So you met, and then obviously, made that connection, probably a great first impression, amazing. And then it went a little bit cold, of course. And then he probably saw you posting things, and then you stayed top of mind, right? And commenting on similar things. That's so interesting because I know he has helped place people in positions from seeing them speak online. So the most interesting thing that happened when you did that talk with Pino is I was sitting at home. It was like dinner time. And earlier that week, my sister had told me that she has a position at her work. And if I know any HR professionals that I can refer, I looked at the role as entry level. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll keep that in mind. And then I'm eating dinner. My family had left the table. So I was like alone, and I'm just scrolling LinkedIn. And then I see Pino's live because we're connected. At that point, you and I had not even met. You had joined my program, but I think it was right before, we never even connected. We never met. And I see you speak, and he asked you a tough question about staying positive. And I remember seeing his face, I could see him thinking, this is such a different response that I hear from other students, because so many others just complain about how tough the entry level market is. And you were so positive and resilient. And that stood out with me too. So as soon as I saw that, before I even reached out to you, I messaged my sister. I'm like, this is your girl. Here she is. And then of course we met and kicked things off. And that was you getting uncomfortable, not knowing if it would be worth it. Maybe you would look silly. Maybe you'd say the wrong thing. So I'd love to hear, what were some of those imposter syndrome thoughts that went through as you were making the decision? Should I go live with Pino? Should I not? I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, again, it was just why would anybody want to listen to me, right? That's kind of the first thing. What do I have of value, right? We're all in the same boat. Some people might be fresh grads. Some people might be a little bit more out of school and just still trying to figure out, what to do, how to go about it, how to get that first role, how to continue onwards, especially if your contract ends. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's just go for it. Try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. I mean, I still haven't fully watched that video because I just, hearing yourself speak sometimes just is a little cringy. And then again, that's just me being extra hard on myself, whereas people probably don't have that same perception, right?
My least favorite job ever is going through, I have to approve the final, after the podcast has been edited, I need to listen to it to approve it, and I dread it. I try to be very busy while I listen because you're just judging every single thing about you so much more harshly than anyone else ever would, or they wouldn't even have those thoughts, right? They would just say wow, this person's so positive, because that's all I saw. I saw you, and all I thought was, I need to help this person get hired. She's amazing. Once people speak to her, they're going to love her, right? So I love that. And I was right, by the way. So I
actually don't consider myself a good speaker. I constantly have a little sticky note that says talk slowly, because I have a habit of going really quickly, especially when I get nervous. And that's actually been some of the feedback I had from an interview. It's, hey, you talk quite quickly sometimes. And it's okay, kind of exactly, be aware of how quickly you're talking. I have one right now, stuck to the edge of my computer screen. And it just reminds me to slow down sometimes.
So you take all of that feedback as a growth opportunity, which is amazing. Instead of putting yourself down being oh, I'm just not good at speaking, you're okay, well, I'm going to intentionally try to work on something to make it even better for the future, right? So I love that. Okay, so you went on Pino's show. I saw you joined HR Star as well at the same time. Walk me through what happened next.
So I had joined HR Star, we had connected. I was super thrilled just to join, right? Because it's okay, what am I doing wrong in my current search? Who else has expertise that I don't have? It's okay, what I'm doing is not working. So let's, pivot a little bit and see where, my, areas of improvement are, right? So we went through our resume, redo, which was awesome. I learned so much about just how you put in like an action or a skill that you had, right? The connection just wasn't connecting for me. And then when we went through it, it was, like light bulb moment.
I love that. I'm assuming, did you stop redoing your resume after we met for every single applicant? I probably told you to stop.
Yes, you did. You had said so too in the master class. You're like, you shouldn't be doing this.
Stop. And you know what the worst part is? It's ineffective because it's just taking... It's kind of, this is harsh, but it's like garbage in, garbage out. If you have one version of your resume that's not working and then you like dilute it even more, thinking it'll better match an ATS instead of focusing on like true accomplishments that everyone would value in the type of role you're looking for. It's just such a huge shift. So I love that that was a shift and you're like, okay, I got this. Okay, good. So you had that light bulb moment. You stopped updating your resume for each and every application. Then what happened?
So, I'd went through the resume transformation. I'd sent out some of my new ones, and then it was just kind of a little bit of a waiting game, right? Because I sent in some applications and then like the deadline hasn't passed. So if you're early before, and they have a 2-week deadline, you're going to be waiting that 2 weeks anyway.
And it feels like it's not working in that 2 weeks, right?
Exactly.
And it's so
it can.
hard.
It can. So, during those 2 weeks, I was going through the rest of the program. I found the biggest skills too with me were the interviewing skills. It was just so amazing to kind of see, oh my gosh, like how you can more effectively answer questions. The pitch was my favorite because before that, I just rambled through the tell me about yourself question. Like, what do you want to know specifically, right? And I think that's where a lot of people just in generally can get stuck, right? It's like, how do I answer this question that relates to what they want, but is still true to kind of you, and just figuring out how to do it succinctly.
Yes, because it makes the biggest first impression, right? And that is like the number one thing that determines if you're going to move to that next interview stage. And it's rare in today's market to even have that phone screen. So how do you make the most of it and make sure you're giving it your all? What was the biggest shift for you in the pitch when you did it for other interviews in the future?
Having that structure, right? Like it's like your name, roughly your education, how you got into your first role, what you did, how you got into your second, and then that kind of ending. Like there was a bit more structure, but it wasn't as like, I guess, typical as like that STAR approach. It didn't feel as robotic, right? It was a little bit more, it flowed a little bit better because you helped me write it. And then I tweaked it, right, as needed for every, position. And it was just minor tweaks, right? So there's something that you could do kind of just 5 minutes in preparation before. I mean, ideally a little bit more than that, but it wasn't super time consuming.
I love that. Once you have the structure and like we wrote it together, you have it, you can adapt it to the audience depending on what they're sort of looking for. And that process is so much easier than trying to write it from scratch before any interview, or worse, trying to just put it together on the spot when you do get that phone screen. It's like, yes, I think, I went to school here and I did this. And I've been there. The reason I love writing the pitch for people is because I remember being asked once, so why do you think you'd be great at this job? And it was the most embarrassing answer I could have ever given. I was like so red in the face because I knew it wasn't going well. I was frozen and I literally forgot why I'd be good. And then I ended up saying something like, recently finished my HR degree. Like so embarrassing when I was completely qualified. So I know that moment. So I love that shift as well. Okay. So then you had your interview, newfound confidence. You had your pitch, you had your resume, you're applying. It's that 2-week lull as people are, assessing resumes and things. And then what?
So I actually got invited to 2 interviews, like almost like within like less than 24 hours. So I'm like, okay, let's go for it. We're going to go for both. And I think, my dad even said, he's like, go for it. Give it your best. You have nothing to lose. He's like, take it as a learning opportunity, even if it doesn't work out. Right. So kind of just taking that pressure off of you. And you chatted about it too, like just having that positive energy, try to get rid of that, like, desperation or like fear. And it has an impact, right? Because I was able to connect with the interviewers, I think, a little bit better, right? You're a little bit more relaxed, even if, you're hoping for the best, but it's just try to look at it, I guess, as a learning opportunity, as lame as some people might think.
It's not lame at all. I love that. It's when we go into a situation with so much pressure on ourselves, we need this. I need to get into HR again. Like, this is so important. It's been 2 weeks without hearing back, so on and so forth. And that energy, people just feel it and it's a repellent, right? But you went in like, okay, well, either way, I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to, answer to the best of my ability. And that's all you can control at the end of the day. You can't control if there is another better candidate, if there's an internal person. Can't do any of that. But you went in and you're like, okay, this is what I can control. You did it. I'm assuming you crushed it because obviously the results speak for themselves. But what happened next?
So like obviously the first kind of interviews went really well. I was invited back for both organizations, went through again. And then I got both offers within, I think, like a 15-hour period.
Insane.
Yeah.
I remember you messaging in the group saying like, I got an offer. And I'm like, are you joking? It's been 3 weeks. What do you mean? Because that is really, really quick. And, you know, when you're interviewing, I'm curious to hear if this happened to you too. When you have multiple options, when you know you're invited back in multiple places, did that raise your confidence to be yourself even more, to make you feel more at ease because things were going well?
For sure. You know, it's like, okay, you know, two organizations see, you know, my worth, my value. They're like interested. They want to learn more. And it's just also too, it's like, okay, like you have options in some sense, right? Like that pressure off of you is a little less. And now it's like, okay, sit down, take a breath. The interviews are over. Review the offer, right? Look at what fits you, right? Because I unfortunately had to decline one. That it was unfortunate because I think I could see myself working at both those organizations. And it was, you know, some amazing people that I got to connect with and chat with. And it was just, you know, a decision that had to be made, but the pressure was gone and it was okay. Now you kind of, it's just like a big breath of fresh air a little bit, right?
Yes. Oh my goodness. I love that. And that shows that you're such a great person, like even caring about the other side, right? Because this is your future. And you do need to make the decision that's aligned with what you want to do day to day. Like the role, you know, like it affects your whole life, what you do at work, because it's just so much time that we spend there. So you really have to enjoy it and find the place that, you know, you want to stay longer term. And sometimes you don't know that from just the interview process, but sometimes there are signs about like which one is a better fit right now. And yes, having to go back and decline an offer after it's been presented, it's first of all so rare in this market because often candidates don't have choice today. Right. And the typical scenario is like trying to fight for one opportunity, finally getting it, and then just having to be super grateful, accepting it, and just like working there. But I love that you had choice and option about what you wanted to do next, right? Even though you could see yourself at both options. Options are amazing in every aspect. So congratulations on that. I mean, I love that you took every opportunity in the most positive way. You learned from each scenario. You tried to make yourself better each and every time. And then you felt more confident and comfortable in those spaces. And when you did that, I'm sure both organizations could see the real you and could see working with you. And that's why they made the offer to you at the end of the day, right? So what's next for you then?
I am just super excited. I start my new role this coming week. So I had a few days off to kind of relax and kind of get my head back in the game. And I'm just super excited to meet my new team and join my new organization.
Amazing. Biggest congratulations. You know, we've celebrated this in person, online here, but biggest congratulations again. Huge accomplishment. You completely crushed it. You set goals for this year and you intentionally started by posting and you got yourself out there. It led to you being on a YouTube channel, on a podcast, led to an opportunity, then another, and now you're crushing it. I'm so excited for you to get back into HR, which was your goal as well, which is going to be so great. And I can't wait to hear how you're crushing it along the way. Last question for you. What would you say to someone who is unsure? Or I guess, they're contemplating, they also may have attended the masterclass and they're contemplating if this will work for them. Did you have those thoughts too?
A little bit. Like, I think at the end of the day, right, it's like, okay, is this going to work? What am I going to get? You kind of hit that a little bit of like a negative space, right? Where it's like time. I mean, you know, in this day and age, finances are something that impacts everybody, right? No matter where you come from or what walks of life you have. So it's just like, okay, for me, it was what I was currently doing just was not working. So I'm like, what do I have to lose, right? Like, let's go for it. I'm going to learn something either way, right? And then, you know, seeing everything as a positive. It's like, okay, like here's something I learned at this point in time from this program, from this person. How can I bring that to another interaction, another LinkedIn post, another application? And it's just, I think, trying to do you to the best of your abilities every single day. I had an old coach that used to say, life is a marathon, not a sprint, right? So sometimes you're going to be breathing real heavy and struggling to keep going. And you just kind of got to power through and give it your all, even if your all's not 100% that day.
I love that. What are you most proud of for achieving inside the HR Star program?
I think the one thing that I'm most proud of is the confidence I've gained. So like we can obviously talk about the test skills in my resume, the skills of the interviewing, like a little bit more technical skills, but it's helped boost my confidence, right? And that's just going to improve those technical skills each and every time, right? I've gained so many new connections on LinkedIn. I've made so many new relationships. I consider myself an introvert, but now I'm a little bit more confident kind of putting myself out there to, whatever it may be, right? So it kind of helped definitely improve my self-confidence, and my abilities and like the technical skills are all going to improve because of it.
Absolutely. I love that so much. And so many people come into the program with the technical aspect, like the pain point of the resume not working, the pain point of the interviews not going well.
Mm-hmm.
And what people say at the end is like the confidence, like I feel so much more confident now that I've landed the role and in the skills gained. So I love that. And nurturing the relationships, to your point, and meeting people and growing your network, which will be with you for the rest of your career, right? So I love that. So excited for your future.
Thank you so much for everything today and for the connections that we've made. I've just been absolutely kind of in awe of you, and it's just been an honor to learn from you and to, get to know you. It's been amazing.
The interesting part is I hope you can feel it. I feel exactly the same about you, because it's like just seeing you crush it, taking on challenges. And I knew that it might feel uncomfortable to do some of the things that you've done. And you went in like from the outside, it just looked like you had the full confidence to do it. And now I'm so, so happy for you and where you are. And I'm so excited for you to start this new chapter next week as well. So I know you're going to crush it, but please keep in touch. And I'd love to hear how things are going in your new role. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much, Irina. It's been a pleasure.
Amazing. Hey, before you go, if you've enjoyed listening to today's show, I would love your support. Please take a moment to leave a review anywhere where you listen to podcasts. And here's the exciting part. I'm running a special contest and giving away a one-on-one session with yours truly. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and send it to me in my DMs. All of my contact info is in the show notes. I appreciate you so much, and I cannot wait to build the career and life that you've been craving together. See you next week.